High five to all my moms who have stuck through breastfeeding. No matter how hard it was, no matter who told you couldn't do it or you shouldn't do it, high five to you guys. Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking all about breastfeeding. Okay, so I know this is a topic that is different for everybody. Some people have a really good experience with breastfeeding. Some people have a really hard time with breastfeeding, but they manage to work their way through it and are really successful with it. And some people just have a hard time with it and give up and kind of regret it later, but there's nothing really you could do about it to change it. So I'm going to share with you my breastfeeding experience. I have 3 kids. I'm on baby number 3 right now. She is 7 months old and we are still going strong in the whole breastfeeding department. But I have had 3 completely different experiences with breastfeeding. So I feel like I kind of have an insight into every different aspect of breastfeeding. So with my first round with breastfeeding with my daughter, I was a young mom. I was 20 and I didn't really know what I was doing. And I was a single mom, so I didn't really have a good support system. I had my mom who was awesome with helping me and kind of just encouraging me, but it kind of, looking back, I feel like if I would have had my significant other with me, it would have been a lot easier and I would have been able to maybe handle it more. But going back to my first time breastfeeding with my daughter, when I had her, I had a C-section with her. It was an emergency C-section. She was 36 weeks. And I ended up having a C-section because I had pneumonia. And when I was in the hospital, they kept me for almost a week because I was really, really sick. So I don't know if because I was sick and I wasn't eating a lot and wasn't like getting a lot of calories in, if my milk supply didn't fully come in. I don't know if that was the issue, or if it was just because I was sick, or maybe I just wasn't trying hard enough. I don't know what the situation was. But I breastfed her for about 3 months, but the whole entire 3 months I was supplementing with formula because she was not gaining any weight. And I was just frustrated. I would cry every time I was feeding her, not because it hurt or anything like that, but because I just knew I was going to have to give her a bottle anyway. So it was really rough waking up in the middle of the night when I was a single parent by myself and having to nurse her and then turn around and give her a bottle. So I really, really regret giving up, but again, I can't go back and change it, and I've had 2 more babies and was successful both of those other times, so I'm not really sure. But that was my first run-in with breastfeeding. Run-in? That's not a good explanation. That was my first experience with breastfeeding. So yeah, the things that I look back and think was, okay, maybe I was not getting enough calories in. Maybe because I was sick, it just wasn't gonna happen because I didn't get off to a good start. Or maybe just because I feel that I was not emotionally ready for it and I didn't have a good support system for me personally, that it just didn't work out. Okay, so moving on to my second experience with breastfeeding. I got pregnant with my son when my daughter was 9 months old. So when I had my son, my daughter was she had just turned 18 months, so she was 1.5 years. And I was going into the whole breastfeeding thing with an open mind, kind of that mindset of, I didn't do it the first time, I'm going to do whatever it takes to do it the second time. And it started off a little bit rough because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I know that doesn't make sense because it was my second time around, but in the sense that I was chasing around a toddler, a toddler, she was 18 months. I was chasing around another little human, and it was hard to just sit and breastfeed, and it was hard to find a schedule that worked for us. But after a good 2.5, 3 months, it all kind of fell into place, and I ended up nursing him for almost 10 months, and during that time I was going to cosmetology school 4 days a week from like 8 in the morning to 5 o'clock at night, and I was pumping. I was like a cow. I was a pumping machine. It was a really good experience. It was just rough in the very beginning. Because I was so focused on not giving him formula, which there is nothing wrong if you want to give your baby formula, or if you have to give up breastfeeding like I did the first time because I just couldn't do it. There's nothing wrong with giving your kids formula. I just had that mindset of, I really want to have this experience. I really want for him just to need me, to not feel like, oh, he can go with anyone because he'll take a bottle. Anybody can feed him because he can get a bottle. I really wanted that bonding experience because I did not get to have it the first time. So I was really, I just had that mindset of, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it. And they tell you in the hospital, when they brought him to me, because I had a C-section, and they're just like, let him eat. Let him eat whenever he wants. If he wants to suck for a long time, just let him suck for a long time. He's going to, the more he nurses, and even if he's not really getting anything, the more it's going to like help your milk supply come in faster, and it's going to boost your milk supply. So I let him nurse, and he nursed, and he nursed, and he nursed. And we went home when he was 3 or 4 days old, and he nursed, and nursed, and nursed all day long, all night long. And like I said, it was kind of hard finding that balance between having a new baby who needs you to eat and needs you to be soothed and just needs you, and having a toddler. But like I said, we got through it, and I just kept nursing, and about a week and a half or 2 weeks into it, my nipples were hurting so bad. It wasn't his latch. I know that some people say like, oh, if he didn't have a good latch and he's not nursing the right way, it's gonna be, no. He had a fine latch because I ended up going and talking to my doctor. They have a lady who is like experienced, or not experienced, who's educated in nursing, and she's like, no, he's eating fine, like you're doing an awesome job, blah, blah, blah. It was that he was nursing so much. My nipples were not getting a break, and they were cracked and bleeding, and it was so painful. I can remember just sitting in bed crying because I did not want him to nurse because it hurt so bad. But I went to the store and I got some cream, some of that, I don't know what it's called, Lanolin, I don't know. I got some of that. It did not work. I just feel like it didn't really do anything, but I went online and I read that coconut oil really helps. So I got some coconut oil, and I would apply it every time after he nursed, and within a few days my nipples were healed and they were not cracked anymore. And then from then I never experienced any sore nipples or anything like that again. But my pumping experience, pumping was hard for me. I know that some women say they cannot pump. I know that some women say they are champion pumpers. Like, I could pump 10 ounces from each breast every time I pump. No, it was not like that for me. I just am not a good pumper. Like, I try and I try and I try, and I'm not a good pumper. I would sit, when I was at school, I would sit in the car and I would pump for like 45 minutes and maybe get a total of 4 or 5 ounces, like total. And that was really hard, but I pumped just enough to get my son through the day when I was at school. I would nurse him right before I went to school, then he would have his bottles all day, and I would pump at school, and they had a fridge they let me store my milk in. And then when I got home, the first thing I did was nurse, and we nursed throughout the night. I know that some moms are blessed with children who sleep through the night when they are nursing. I am not that mom. I'm on baby number 2 of breastfeeding, my 3rd child, but my 2nd round of breastfeeding, and my daughter is 7 months old, and she still does not sleep through the night. They nurse. They just love to nurse. So my son was still waking up every 1 to 2 hours in the beginning, but 2 to 3 hours, even when he was 10 months old, to nurse. And I truly believe it was comfort nursing. I don't think it was because he really needed it. I think he was just used to nursing throughout the night. So he would wake up and he would only eat for like 2 or 3 minutes and fall back asleep, and we co-slept. So it was really easy for me just to kind of put him on one side or put him on the other side, and then he would fall back asleep, and I would wake up a few hours later, just give him my breast, and it was a really good experience, but a really tiresome experience, because even though I wasn't having to get up and make a bottle or get up and go get him from his crib, it was still the fact that my mind was not like getting a full night's rest, because I was being woken up every 2 hours, every 1 hour, every 3 hours. And so that was a little tiresome and a little bit rough, but I am so happy that I chose to breastfeed. I'm so happy that I had that bonding experience with him. I'm so happy that it all just kind of fell into place. That was my experience the first full time around breastfeeding. So again, it was my second baby, but it was like the first time I really felt like, okay, I actually breastfed my child, and I can actually say like, okay, this is what worked, this is what didn't, and this is like the advice that I would give. So I felt like it was a good experience, like I said, and a really, really good bonding experience. I feel like now me and my son have a really, really good experience. He's such a mama's boy, and my daughter is kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go do what I want. She's really into just being herself, and she doesn't need me. And sometimes I get a little bit sad, but my mom says I was the same exact way. But I feel like now my son is 3.5, he's almost 4, and we just have a really good bond, a good relationship, and I really, really think that breastfeeding had a key role in my relationship with him. So yeah, overall, it was a good experience. It started out a little rough, just finding a schedule that fit me, and like I said, I had a little rough experience in the beginning with like my nipples being cracked, but once I got past that, we made it through school with pumping and breastfeeding at home, and it just worked out perfect. Okay, so moving on to my current breastfeeding experience. So I am on baby number 3, my second, I guess I would say, round of breastfeeding, and we are 7 months into it, and it is going so smooth and so beautifully, and I am so blessed. This time I get the chance to be a stay-at-home mom. I'm not going to school, I'm not working, I am not doing anything but staying home and taking care of my 3 kids. So of course, when I had her, I knew going into it that I wanted to breastfeed. I had such a good experience my last child, so I just kind of didn't even think about anything but, okay, I'm going to breastfeed. I didn't buy formula, I did not buy bottles, I did not buy anything. The second time with my second son, I did buy those things. I had some formula, and I had bought a bunch of different bottles just because I knew I was going to be in school, so he was going to have to take a bottle regardless. Whether it was breast milk or formula, he was going to need a bottle. This time, I knew that I was going to be home, so I didn't worry about any of that. So, from the moment I gave birth, I had a C-section, and they brought her to me. She latched on, and there has been no looking back ever since. My nipples were never sore. They never cracked. I never cried. I never wished like, oh my gosh, I just wish the pain. No, there was no, I wish the pain would go away. There was none of that. It has been a really, really good experience. But because I am a stay-at-home mom and I am with my daughter all day long, she is so attached to me. She will not go to anybody else. She's kind of at that age now with the last month where she'll go to my husband, she'll go to my mom, she'll go to my dad, she'll go to my sister, her aunt. But for the first 5.5, 6 months, she wanted nothing to do with anybody but mom. Like, I was the only thing she wanted, the only thing she needed. And yes, it has been a good experience, but a different experience from my last, because I am home with her all day, and because she gets to nurse whenever she wants. In the beginning, she was nursing every hour, every 2 hours, and she's still kind of nursing a lot. I would say she goes 3 hours during the day now, because we've introduced solids and she's eating more, so she's not nursing as much. But during the night, she's still eating every 2 to 3 hours, which was rough in the beginning because I felt like I was a zombie. I was getting no sleep because I would go to sleep late. I wouldn't go to sleep till 11 o'clock or midnight because I have 2 other kids and I'm sitting nursing my baby. My toddler and my little girl are running around, tearing up the house, and it's my time at night to like clean the house, do the dishes, because I wasn't getting to do those things during the day because I was spending a lot of time breastfeeding. It was a little bit rough, but not rough on like actual nursing was rough. Nursing was smooth, it was fine, it was perfect. It was just kind of, again, finding a balance. And now I feel like we have found a balance and it's really, really good. She still nurses every 2 to 3 hours at night. We just got her a crib and about a month ago, and she's been sleeping in the crib for about a month, and she kind of starts off in the crib around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and she'll sleep for 2 or 3 hours. I'll nurse her and put her back in the crib, and she'll stay for another 2 or 3 hours, and then by that time, it's the middle of the night, and I'm so tired. She just co-sleeps. She co-sleeps with me and my husband from about 2 o'clock in the morning till he leaves for work around 5, and then it's just me and her, and it's really, really good. Overall, my breastfeeding experiences have been really, really good. Like I said, my first time, I kind of gave up, so I don't know if I would really count that as an experience, but overall 2 out of 3 have been really, really awesome. And I would say for any new mom going into breastfeeding that you should just try. No matter what, just try, and make sure you have a good support system, because if it wasn't for my husband, I don't even know if I would have made it through breastfeeding. Not because it was hard for me, because this time it came so easy and so natural, but just because I was so tired, sometimes I mentally wanted to give up, and I'm so glad that I didn't, and I'm so glad that I had a good support team, a good support system around me my second time and this my third time. My advice that I would give is just mentally prepare yourself. Like, say, I'm going to breastfeed and this is what I'm going to plan on doing. If you need to pump, then just kind of think ahead. Okay, I need to mentally prepare myself that I'm going to have to pump if you have to work or if you're in school. If you have the luxury of staying home like I did, just mentally prepare yourself. It's gonna be hard to get a good schedule of breastfeeding, and if you're taking care of other kids or having to take your other kids to school or getting the laundry done, getting the dishes done, getting your house clean. There are some days where my husband comes home and he's like, what did you do all day? And I have to look at him and say, the baby just was having a rough day. She wanted to just nurse back to back to back, or she wanted to be held all day, and I truly didn't get anything done. And I know sometimes he gets frustrated with me, but he is a really good supporter, and he just kind of brushes it to the side and we just go on with our day. And even if the house is a mess, I won't stay up late cleaning it anymore, because I know that I do need sleep, and tomorrow's a new day and it will all get done the next day. So give yourself a break. If your house isn't clean, if your dishes aren't done, if your laundry has to be folded, just know that you're doing a good job. You're giving your baby everything your baby needs, and everything else will just kind of eventually fall into place. The first couple months will be hard, but trust me, it is all worth it. So this was just kind of my background on my experience with breastfeeding. I'm going to do another video with just kind of some tips that I have and some experiences that I've had, like out in public or around other people. So stay tuned for that, and I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Bye.